Eli, appreciate you doing this, man.
Yeah.
Super excited. This is the business hot seat is something that we're introducing to the Father Forge, and we want to get really high value, just really knowledgeable business leaders to join these calls to teach us all how to be better at business. And so you were obviously someone that came to mind pretty quickly. Just to set the stage a little bit, Eli, you're the founder of Fire Us Marketing, right?
hmm
You're also the host of a digital marketing podcast called The Digital Revolution.
Yep.
You have like nearly 2 decades of experience in digital marketing and just business leadership. And
hmm
so you mentioned that you've helped grow, just multiple dozens, hundreds of different companies in different countries, and just really had a broad reach in your your business leadership and business growth. So um, specialize in SEO, PPC, everything digital, right?
Yep.
So anything I left off there though?
I have a slide. I can go over a little bit more detail on that and give a
Great.
little bit of the backstory, but yeah,
Yeah,
for
that'd be
sure.
awesome. That'd be awesome. Okay, well, I'll turn the time over to you, Eli. We have this recorded so we can send it out to the whole group afterwards and things like that. And so, um, but yeah, I'll turn the time over to you, and I'm excited to learn from you.
All right. Let me share this and make sure it's on the right screen. So can y'all see the full screen? Does it look good? Okay. Okay, so a side hustle blueprint for dads who want more. So what I'm going to talk about is how to launch a side hustle, even if you're busy, tired, and unsure where to start. Some of this stuff I think will also apply to those who already have businesses. But if you don't have a business and you don't have a side hustle, I would recommend you do it, and I'll go over why. So just to kind of like I want to go over a little bit of personal, a little bit of business. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to humanize me. A lot of times I'll get on and do some trainings and people are like, "Oh, I could never do that," right? Like I'm just this guy, just this dad or whatever. And so I want to humanize who I am so that you're like, "Oh, if that guy can do it, I can do it," right? So, first of all, I grew up in a small town called Scipio, Utah. It's like 200 people. My dad owned a mushroom farm. I grew up on a mushroom farm, right? And so if a mushroom farmer can do this, you can do this, I promise, right? So, okay, so about me personally. So I'm a Jesus worshiper. I'm a husband to Mandy, my wife. I'm a father of four. I have three girls and a boy. I'm the youngest brother, and I have three older brothers. I'm the founder of Fire Us Marketing, the host of the Digital Revolution podcast. I'm an author of a children's book called Lucy Tames Her Tiger, which is about anxiety. I live in Saratoga Springs, and I'm my son's Little League baseball coach. So that's kind of in a nutshell a little bit about what I do on a daily basis. There's a lot more. Honestly, I'm no different than a lot of you guys. I struggle with mental health. My family, I'd say that I think four of the six of us see a therapist at least once a week. I have a daughter who has OCD. She's in an OCD clinic down in Orem. 5 days a week. I have two kids who do homeschool because they have high anxiety. I have two kids who have regular school, and so we have to drive some of them to school, some of them here, some of them down to Orem. Um, and we try to we try to travel a little bit. We try to do baseball. My one of my daughters does dance. So I am just like everyone else. I'm just a busy dad who's just trying to like get by and figure out what I want to be when I grow up. From a professional standpoint, Cory already mentioned a little bit, but yeah, so I mean, I have been in the digital space for quite some time. I built my first website in 1998. My first e-commerce website was in 2003, 2004. And then I took a little bit of a break, did some retail management at some big national chains, and then I decided I didn't want to work retail anymore. When I was getting a family, I was like, I don't want to work 80 hours a week during Christmas. And so I came back to the digital space, and it's been about 18 years since then. So, as Cory said, I've worked at startups, I've worked at agencies, I've worked at multi-billion-dollar international companies. I've helped thousands of local clients, local customers get more traffic, more conversion online. And it's been fun. It's been a great experience. About 2 years ago, I left my corporate job and started a company called the Digital Experience Academy. And at that time, a lot of people were getting fired from their jobs, at least in the digital space. A lot of people were getting laid off. And my wife and I, we were helping people, go over their resumes. We would jump on and do Zoom calls, like one-on-ones, and practice doing interviews and try to help people get back in the job market. Well, around around Christmas time, we saw a lot of people struggling. And so we started a little fundraiser to help people with actual cash for Christmas. And we raised about $5,000 just reaching out to people on social media, and we raised about $5,000, and we were able to give 50 families $100 each around Christmas. And I thought, like, this is cool. Maybe they can go buy, a couple presents or whatever. But some of the response we got back really kind of shook me to the core. We had people who were saying, I wasn't sure how I was going to pay for my daughter's insulin next month, and this will take care of it. I was going to lose my car, and I was about $100 short on the payment, and now I got to keep my car, and all of these crazy stories. And I started thinking, if people could make $100 online, if $100 makes that big of a difference, I can teach people how to make $100 online. And that's where the Digital Experience Academy came. And so I started with this course. It's a free course. People can go through and they can learn how to build a website, learn how to monetize it and make some money. And people would go through that and they'd say, this is great, but I need a little bit more. And so we would do coaching, and we'd do one-on-one coaching and do that for a couple months. And they'd say, this is great, but I don't have time. Just like all of us, we're all busy. Like, it's hard to do all of it at once, right? And so they would say, I don't have time to do this. Can I just pay you to do it? And so I had so many people go through and do that I decided to start an official agency, which is Fire Us Marketing. Now, the reason it's called Fire Us Marketing is because I lean heavy on the education space. I want people to understand what we're doing. I've worked at agencies where a lot of it is gate kept. Is that the right way to say that? It's like a secret sauce that only we can do, and we'll just put you through this conveyor belt and hopefully you work. And I wanted to be different. I wanted to look at each individual client and understand what was their problem and teach them and say, here's what's going on, here's how we can help you, and then create a custom solution for that. The idea is that, if, like, I'll be your agency as long as you want me to be your agency, but if at any point you want to take this in-house or change directions, I'll help you do that. I'll help you interview the people. I'll help you hire them. I'll help you train them. And you can fire me as an agency if that's what you want to do. The idea, hopefully, I'm doing such a good job that you never want to do that and you just stay with me. But if any point you want to do that, I'm happy to do that. And that's where Fire Us Marketing came. So, okay. So now that's enough about me, professional, personal, all of that. You just have a little bit of background knowing I'm just a normal human, just a normal guy, a normal dad, a normal husband. I have a little bit of experience doing some of this stuff. So hopefully I put together something that will add some value to you guys. So here's the session breakdown. Here's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about why starting a side hustle actually matters. We're going to talk about lies that kill businesses. And then we're going to go over the FIRE framework. We're also going to talk about mindset, and then I have some follow-up. I have some homework, and then I have a free ebook at the end that I'll give you a link to if you want it. I feel like this is kind of the audience that would benefit from this ebook, so take it or leave it, doesn't matter, but hopefully it'll work and you'll enjoy it. So let's dive into this. Okay, so side hustles can make you a better dad. So 1 in 3 dads, statistics. I got these statistics last night, and I didn't put all of the, like, where it came from, but if you want it, I can get it for you. 1 in 3 dads feel like they've lost themselves post kids. 67% of dads report feeling guilty for missing parts of their children's lives due to work commitments. 74% of dads say they want to build something one day, right? And a lot of dads will say this, like, at one point, one day, when I get less busy. Like, has life ever gotten less busy for you? A lot of people are like, I'll do this when my kids are out, or I'll do this, like it never gets less busy, right? 67% of dads with flexible work or side hustles report stronger relationships with their children. I think it's obvious why. So why do you need a side hustle then? Well, here's some stats around that. 44% of side hustlers say it brings more purpose than their main job. 70% of people with a side hustle say it boosts their confidence and overall happiness. So there's a huge mental health component to having a side hustle. And by the way, a lot of side hustles eventually turn into a full-time business where you can quit your job, but that's not the purpose of this. I'm just letting you know, right? 2 out of 3 side hustlers report improved mood and self-esteem from their business activities, and 62% of their side hustles provide a creative outlet that significantly reduces stress. So raise your hand if you want to reduce stress, right? A lot of people want to reduce that stress for sure. Um, Okay, so 3 lies that kill business growth. And a lot of the reason that people don't start a side hustle, besides I'll do it when, or I'm too busy now, here are some of the lies. So if you build it, they will come. A lot of people think like, oh, I'll just build a website and then like automatically people will come. I have a lot of coaching clients that will sit down and we'll take a month and we'll build a website for them and get it all going. And then a month later, they're like, nobody's coming to my website and buying my stuff. Well, like, why is that? Like, you actually have to do something beyond just building a website. So you can build a site, you can have your social handles, but if you're not actually using it, promoting it, posting often, it doesn't matter. A lot of people think you need a huge budget to get started. They need to set up their business in a way where they can get funding and stuff like that because they have this great, Elon Musk level idea and they can't do it without funding. It's simply just not true anymore. You can bootstrap it, especially with AI these days. You can build any type of side hustle you want. Um, and then the last one, just do what you love and the money will flow. One of my favorite quotes from Elon Musk is you get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problems you solve. So, yeah, it's great if you can find something that you love and then from there find a problem that you can solve. And that's what you should try to do. But you can't just like if you love, I don't know, crocheting baskets. I don't, just random. But if that like it's not going to make that much money, right? You may get fulfillment, and that's fine. But if you're in it for fulfillment and for money, you probably need to go a different direction. So, have you guys ever seen the cartoon Robots? It's one of my kids' favorites, and they say, "See a need, fill a need." It's all about like inventions. It's all about finding problems and solving those problems. So I'm going to take just a little bit of a break here. I want you guys to go off mute and I want to talk through this a little bit. But like, what do you do often enough to find problems where you know how to solve the problem? So, for example, if you go golfing a lot, you're like, and then you go with somebody who doesn't go golfing, you see what they're doing wrong. Like it's easy for you to say, hey, if you just do this or if you just do that, like you'll be better. Same with camping, fishing, rock climbing, working out, nutrition, stuff around the house. You see your kids doing things or in the yard work, doing yard work where you're like, oh, I wish I had a tool that did this that would make things easier. Like, let's talk for a sec. So I'm going to go out. I want you guys to go off mute. Like, tell me, what are your hobbies? And in those hobbies, have you seen anybody do something wrong where you could critique them and like teach them to be better?
Well, on the Father Forge side, I mean that's pretty easy. Cory and I we tend to have an understanding of self-regulation, self-control, fitness, nutrition, and everything like that. But then, so that gap was easy to fill because
Yeah.
there's a lot of men out there that just kind of struggle with those things. But then I think where Cory and I kind of see where we've got other things to add. Like I love personal finance, and I know that's so dorky, but I just love it. I love time management and the ability to get things done. And there's a gap there in a lot of men. I talked to a man yesterday, and he was like, "Hey, how do you schedule time amongst your family?" And he didn't have a shared calendar or anything like that. And little gaps like that are easy to fill, especially if it's something that you love and good at or good at. And finding that
Yeah.
for me really brings more joy than than my regular job.
Yeah. So you could take that example and you could say, like, how could I customize something that would help other guys be able to figure this out, right? The one thing that comes to mind right now, I see a lot on social media are those electronic boards that people put up like in the kitchen that shares the calendar and anybody can go at any time and see what's on the calendar and who is where and all of that, right? And so you could think of obviously a different idea that and that's kind of this exercise is if you don't have a side hustle you go through the areas of what you enjoy and where you feel like you could solve some problems and then create something. So Matt or Dylan, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I don't because I feel like I don't have any hobbies.
No hobbies. Okay.
Feel
So
like I
there's
pretty
not
much
there's
don't do
nothing
anything.
there's nothing that you enjoy, like you don't like. How about something you used to enjoy, but then life got busy and you stopped doing it that you'd like to get back to?
I used to disc golf as a kid. That's about it.
Okay. Okay.
No,
So you could
I,
potentially figure out a way to
I
start
guess
a disc golf.
I would say if I had a hobby, then it would be odd jobs around the house, like building things, right? Like I read
Yeah.
I redid my stair banisters, or the floors or cabinets, kind of a woodworking type side.
Yeah.
I suck at working with my hands. Suck. Like it's like a generational joke in our family that Fleming men suck at working with their hands. I'm probably the most handy person in my family, and that's sad because I'm not handy. And so like that's something that has massive value for me. If there were specific projects that I was like, I really want to do that. And by the way, talk about taking a hit to your man card when I can't freaking do stuff that's manly with my hands. Like that would be massive value, Dylan.
Yeah. There you go. I think actually my next slide talks about let's see. Have you ever, let's see, drop a fire in the chat if you've ever solved a problem for someone and they said, dude, I couldn't have done that without you. So here's an exact example of this happening where Dylan, if you had a YouTube channel or a TikTok, even like 60-second videos of like, hey, here's what I did on this banister and here's how you could do it as a dad who is not good with their hands. And that's something that Matt would consume.
How
So
do you
that's,
how do you caulk a bathtub properly? Right? Like so basic, but like, do you have any idea? I bought the caulking gun. I never did it. Like literally sat under my sink in my bathroom for like 2 years, and then I moved out.
and made
Same thing
someone
with
else do it.
fixing my little overflow drain that comes out of the sink. Like that was like broken off, and I just like never fixed it ever. Like
Yeah.
because it's not like it's that hard. I just don't. I don't know. Like so, yeah. Even super simple, stupid stuff that you'd be like, dude, that takes 5 seconds. What are you doing? Like that's uncomfortable for me.
And I think that's a huge gap, like for a lot of dads, and especially a lot of kids. Like we'll see, my brother and I have talked about this before about starting a business where all we do is create content as a dad for somebody who didn't have a dad teach them basic things like how to change a tire or how to, change a light bulb. Like for example, we went on a trip one time. Oh no, maybe it was like I saw on TikTok they interviewed all these like 16, 17-year-old kids that were driving, and none of them knew how to fill up gas in the car. Their parents just always did it for them. And so the next trip we went on, I had all of my kids get out one by one and do it with me. And it's illegal to have anybody younger do it by themselves, but I would walk them through the steps. And now my kids will get out of the car and be like, hey, can I do it? And I don't have to tell them anything. I'll just give them the card and watch them. And they'll do all those steps. But it's sad to see these 16-year-olds who never had that experience. So a business idea my brother and I talked about was creating content, teaching all of these basic things. I think, Dylan, you could do something very similar. You could target dads. You could target, these teenagers and try to teach them with content. So either way, so the point of this exercise is just to talk through like there are always problems that need to be solved in areas that you're good at or that you enjoy. So one area is that this in this picture, my buddy Lopetti, he just lives down the street from me, and he works full time as a mechanic, but he has a side business called Easy Auto Service, EAZY, and where he is a mobile mechanic on the weekends and in the evenings. And so he's been doing it for about a year. He has like 20 positive Google reviews. And a couple weeks ago, we had some brake problems. And I called him up and I was like, look, with us traveling to the OCD clinic and doing all this other stuff, like we don't have time. Literally, we don't have time to take this into a shop and just wait. And he's like, I'll come and do it for you. So he drove up the street, replaced my brakes, and went back. But like he found that gap because a lot of people don't have time to go to the shop, and they want someone to come to them their house, and there's not a lot of mobile mechanics out there. And so that was a problem that he could solve that I for sure couldn't do myself. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so let's go over sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. Okay, let's go over what I call the FIRE framework. So FIRE, it stands for foundation, infrastructure, reach, and execution. If you're going to build a side hustle and you're going to build a business, you have to have a strong foundation. You have to build an infrastructure. You have to be able to reach the right people, and you have to be able to execute in the right way. So let's go over this real quick. Okay, F stands for foundation. So lay the groundwork for growth, identify the core value, vision, and specific problems you're going to solve. Get clear on who you serve, why it matters. If the foundation is shaky, scaling will only make the cracks bigger. So here's a tactical takeaway. Here is your homework. Here's part of your homework for right now. So either take a screenshot or write this down. But today, I need you to write a one-liner that says, I help who solve what problem doing what, right? So if you can write that down, that's a good start. You can actually just grab that thing and you can throw it into ChatGPT and say, give me 50 ideas on what businesses I could build around this one sentence, right? So that's your first takeaway. Infrastructure. So set up systems to support momentum. So you need a website or a landing page. You need a booking system, which you can get for free with like Calendly. Payment tools, you can use Venmo, you can use PayPal, you can use Stripe. That a lot of that is free. A basic lead funnel where you can capture emails or follow-ups, which again, you can use MailChimp and connect it to your website or landing page. A project management or communication tool. I think ClickUp has like a free version. I know Asana has a free version. So you don't need 15 tools. You need 3 to 4 good ones that talk to each other. So your tactical exercise is build a site this week. So I know that sounds intimidating, but honestly, you could probably build a website in like 1 to 3 hours. And so I have I'll give you the link here. fireus.co/DXA will take you to that free course I was talking about earlier with the Digital Experience Academy. So there's no strings attached. I'm not going to sell you anything. Just go through the course and it will take you step by step, how to buy a domain, set up hosting, how to build a website, how to monetize it. That's free. Just take it and run. Okay. If you don't want WordPress, use YouTube and find a platform of your choice. If you want Shopify, just go to YouTube and type in how to build a Shopify website in an hour, and you'll see 1,000 different results that will teach you how to do it in an hour. So get that infrastructure going. R stands for reach. So get in front of the right people with your message. Create content. So like blog posts, Google Business Profile posts, short form videos.
Yeah, there's a call this morning. Anyway, but go ahead. I'm just listening.
Skylar, you're not on mute, by the way.
Sorry, guys.
You're good. Share your content with your warm market. So the blog post or the social post or whatever, share it with your warm market and ask them for feedback. Ask them to share it out. Leverage SEO, local directory, social media. Prioritize visibility in places where your audiences already spend a lot of time. So, for example, if you are a mechanic, right? Or you're, let's say that, Dylan's making these videos teaching dads and teenagers how to do these hands-on things in the house. You're probably going to want to go where the dads are, right? You're going to want to go to the platforms where the dads are. You're going to want to make sure that whatever social media platforms you are, your audience is there. I don't know if Pinterest is the right place. It might be something where the wife will look at it and take it to the husband and say, hey, do this. It might be, it might not be, but focus on the areas where your audience is. You don't need ads yet. You just need eyeballs and trust. So your tactical takeaway is use ChatGPT to plan out your content marketing strategy. So you can take that first sentence that we talked about on the first one. You can take your ideas, your blog posts here, you can put it into ChatGPT and build out a content marketing calendar for you. Now you're going to want to take that, you're going to want to humanize it and make it your own. Don't just take the first go at AI. We could do a whole other training on AI at some point, but it's super helpful to build foundation to help get that reach, but don't just use it as is. Okay, so then the last one is execution. So move with consistency, not perfection. So you need to figure out like what you're good at. So what actions make the most money in the area that you're going to make the business. And then once you know that, you got to figure out how can you do more of that action. And then once you figure that out, you say, how can I do that action better? And a lot of that could be like what we were talking about in the beginning, Matt, with hiring other people. You can scale if you work with Matt and you hire, a virtual assistant somewhere, you could scale what makes the most money you could do more of it by scaling, and then Matt could have time to step back and say, how can I make it better so that you could hire more people and scale it bigger, right? So you need to set weekly goals, trackable, doable, measurable, build habits around visibility and value, and stay focused on action over aesthetics. So one of my biggest pet peeves is people will go through my course. Honestly, the course I think is like maybe 2.5, 3 hours of videos, which you could put on 2 speed and get through it just as fast. People will take a month to 2 months to finish building a website because they cannot figure out what their logo should look like. Like, your logo is not going to sell your business. It's not going to sell your product. You can always change it later. You could go a whole year in your business and change it, and most people in the world would never know, right? So here's a little tip on that. So you see at the bottom right of the screen, you see Fire Us Marketing logo. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, here's the name of my business. Here's what I stand for. Here's what I want it to look like. And it put out, this logo. And I was like, okay, I like this part of that logo. Give me another one. And I like this part of that logo. And I grabbed 3 or 4 of them. I used this like free Photoshop tool online, cropped them all together. And then I sent it on Fiverr. I went to Fiverr, found somebody for $20. And I said, here's my idea. Here's the company. Here's the color palette. And in $20 they came back with the logo we see down at the bottom right. Like, you don't need to take 2 months to build out the right logo or aesthetics. Make sure your website looks good. Honestly, raise your hand if you remember Craigslist. It's still around. It's not pretty, right? It is the ugliest website out there, and it worked. It just worked. So don't take time on aesthetics. Worry about creating value first. Okay, mindset reset. So perfection isn't required. Progress is. Done is better than perfect. Start ugly, finish strong. So if you have not read Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time, you need to now. It's such a good book. And he has this concept in there that as you're scaling your business, I want you to keep this in mind, where a lot of times as business owners, we're like, well, nobody's going to do it as good as me. I just can't hand it off to somebody else because nobody's going to do it as good as me, and I don't trust anyone else to do it. So what he talks about is, if you can find somebody that can do 80% as good as you, but for 25% of the cost, by hiring, somebody, like I have an employee in Argentina. So by hiring Felipe down in Argentina, he doesn't have 20 years of SEO experience like I do, but I can teach him. And if he gets 80% of it done at 25% of the cost and time that it would take me to do it, it's worth it for me to hire Felipe to do that, right? And so once you start building out your business, you can look for those areas that either you're not good at, or areas that you could easily scale. And just like Matt's doing, I'm in the same boat where I need to focus my business on sales. If I don't get new clients, we don't grow. And so a lot of the fulfillment I pass off to some, I have a virtual assistant, and I have Felipe down in Argentina that's helping me out with that fulfillment. So consider the same thing in your business. What areas can you pass off? But also remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. Okay. All right, homework and takeaways. If you take nothing else from today, remember this: building an online business isn't about being first, fast, or the loudest. It's about being real, consistent, and obsessed with solving the problems better than anyone else. So your homework is, aside from those things that I already listed up top, so write down the one problem you're uniquely positioned to solve. Choose a name or brand for it, fun, serious, whatever, but something that that gives it identity. Commit to talking about it one time online this week. So whether it's a story, a post, or conversation with somebody, you need to do that at least once this week. And then, for heaven's sakes, build a website. If you don't have one, go build a website, get it out there, because Google values age. And so the faster you get it out there, the long term, you're going to be a lot better. And make the decision to do it today. So the letters IDE in most words, like pesticide, homicide, decide, suicide, it means to put to death, right? So if you decide to do it today, to take action, you're going to put all other options to death. So decide to do it today. And just think about this. I went to a Tony Robbins event, and one of the first things he said is, like, you can go through these 3 days and you can get a bunch of good feelings and plans and stuff. But like, if you don't take action today, where will you be a year from now? And he actually made us like write it down. And like, how will you feel a year from now? How will your family feel about you a year from now? How will your confidence be a year from now? If you don't take action today, a year from now, are you still going to be saying, well, maybe someday, maybe when my kids are done with sports, maybe when my kids are out of high school, maybe when. I think you should just decide today to do it, even if it's sloppy, even if it's, not the perfect idea, get it started. Because every single business owner will tell you that before they hit the business that actually worked, they probably created 5 to 10 other businesses that didn't work. And I've done that in the past. I've created a lot of businesses. Some of them were good, some of them I sold, some of them were horrible, and I've just shut down. But if you're going to have to shut down 5 businesses before you find the good one, start today, because you just need to check those off the list. Get going. Okay, so here are some helpful items. Again, this is the free website building course. You can either go to this URL or you can scan this QR code. You can screenshot it if you want. Again, there's no sales to this. I'll tell you this, it is a little bit of an outdated course, meaning that GoDaddy, HostGator, they've all updated their UI a little bit, but the concept is still the same, right? So if I say go install WordPress and you log into HostGator, like there's a button that says install WordPress, like it's basically the same. So don't yell at me for it being 2 years old. I'll get them updated at some point. But you'll learn how to buy a domain, set up hosting, install WordPress, optimize the site, add content, and then hopefully make money. I only go over one way to make money on this. It's probably the least valuable way to make money right now. There's 100 other ways you could do that, but go build yourself a website. So here's a link to a local SEO guide. If you build a website that services people like around here, like a mechanic or something like that, if it's like within Utah, this will be super helpful to help you get your Google business profile set up. It'll help optimize your website and help you learn some basic SEO. So feel free to take a screenshot of this or go to that landing page. I do have another one. If you want a different one, let me know and I'll send it to you. But it talks about local, regional, national, and international SEO. So if you want to go bigger than just local, let me know and I'll send you that link as well. You can also find it on my website, firesmarketing.com. Up at the top, there's a link that says SEO guide, I think. And then this is not a sales pitch. This is back to the point of like, hey, you need to discuss your ideas with people. If you want to get on my calendar for 15 minutes and say, hey, I have this idea. What do you think about it? I'm sure that Cory and Clint will do the same thing for you. Talk to your parent, your dad, your siblings, whatever. This is just to help like brainstorm. I'm stuck. What can we do better? Like Dylan, we could talk about more about, what are you doing around the house? And could you just set up a camera and record it? And like, that's how you create your content. So either way, this is just for that purpose alone. If you want to chat with me for 15 minutes there, you can do it there. So, okay. Any questions? I kind of went through fast, but I think we needed a little bit of time for questions, but
Yeah,
Did you say the slideshow would be available?
yeah, I can send it out for sure.
yeah, and we'll send out the recording as well, Dylan. Well, first of all, I just wanted to, less of a question, but more of just a statement, Eli. There's so many parallels with what you just went over with like the deciding and making it happen now, because there's going to be a lot of failure along the way, and you have to just start now so you can actually get to where you're going. There's so many parallels with building a business and building your body as well, right? Because there's a lot of people, and everyone on this call understands this very well. Like if you wait 6 months from now, you wait a year from now, you wait 2 years from now, whatever, whether it be in business or working on your personal health, you're going to be stuck if you don't actually get moving. And so I love the idea here, and like starting a side business and getting the momentum going now, because you don't know what's going to happen in 6 months, a year from now. So I love that.
Absolutely.
Just echoing that, the fact that I've been building my business while going through the fitness journey and the nutrition journey and the mind shift journey there's a direct correlation. And that has directly impacted the work that I'm doing. And the other thing that I've had to let go of, and I developed this because I had the opportunity to work with several co-founders, and I would see them jump into stuff, and it was just like, oh, you committed to what to the client? Why would you do? Oh, crap. Okay, we'll figure out how to make it work. Like, but we always would. And so where the old me was had analysis paralysis and would have to figure out and plan every last detail before I was willing to take the first step. I had to know every detail of the finished product before I would take the first step. I learned like, no, you just jump in and start. You just start.
Yeah.
And trust that it'll work out. And no matter how crazy or ridiculous, it always did. It always worked out. Sometimes with a little more elbow grease, but it always worked out. And so we brought on one of my I work with two of my brothers, and we brought on my oldest brother, and he's constantly pushing me constantly because I'm a serial procrastinator, and he's like, no, let's get on the phone right now, we're just gonna do this right now. You got 10 minutes. What are you gonna do in the next 10 minutes that's more important than this? Just get on the phone. We're doing this right now. And he's pushed me to just okay, we'll figure it out, we'll whatever. And that has made such massive changes in my business and in my life of just start now. Even if and I know I'm talking a lot here, but I was at a meeting. It was a year during Utah Tech Week, and we were talking about design philosophy and design systems, like UI UX, SaaS products, that kind of stuff. And one of the guys got up and he said, if you are a startup, I don't care how well funded, I don't care how cool, how good your designers are, your product is an ugly baby. Get your ugly baby to market as fast as humanly possible and find someone who will love your ugly baby for all that it can be. And like finding those partnerships to like build something. But he's just like, no, you have an ugly baby. Get used to it. Just get it to market. Doesn't matter. Just freaking go. And so I think letting go of that perfectionism and just being willing to just put something out there, which is scary. Like, I don't want people to see this website. I don't want to see people to watch me fumble around on YouTube with a screwdriver, whatever it is, like it doesn't matter. Frankly, then it makes the rest of us all feel much better about ourselves that we can be and have ugly babies too. So I don't know. I just that idea. I just reemphasizing your point, Eli, of just get it freaking going now, no matter how good or bad you think it is.
Everybody's ugly until they're in their 20s anyway, so just get it going.
And then it just goes back downhill from there.
Yeah, until your 30s, and then it's downhill for sure.
Hey, Eli, I got something. So when we're talking about taking massive action in whatever it is and getting started, there's always going to be a mental barrier from decision point to actually taking action. And there's a mindset shift in there. So for everybody that's trying to start something new, what would you say you have to tell yourself? What's the mind shift for you that came from decision to action?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, if it's good enough for my mom, then it's good enough for the world, because my mom is going to like pretty much everything. She's going to be like, whether it's an ugly baby or not, like Matt said, she's going to like it. So if I can get it good enough for my mom, like I just need to move forward. And because that's a lot, like there's always that hook. There's always that like, well, I could do this, I could do that. Like I caught myself doing this yesterday. I have, a handful of clients that need things, and I'm like, it's like Friday at 6:30 and I'm still working. And I'm like, yeah, but if I get this done now, then it'll help them faster and I won't have to work, over the weekend or next week or whatever. And so for me, it was, when I was starting, the perfectionism was like, oh, if it's good enough for my mom, I can get it out. And if I ever needed to just call my mom and say, hey, do you like this logo? It didn't matter how ugly it was. Guess what your mom's going to say? Oh, it's beautiful. You're doing such a great job. Okay, that's good enough. Let's get it out. So that's what worked for me.
No, that's good. That's really good. Great little mental shift there. Now, there's also another mental thing that happens to every entrepreneur is you're going to fail a little bit at first. And you'd kind of mentioned it is, hey, I built a website, nobody's coming. And the Father Forge went through this in the beginning. It's like, hey, we've posted shirtless pictures of ourselves online. How come people aren't signing up to hang out with shirtless Clinton and shirtless Cory? What is it you do to push through the initial failures and everything?
So what really helped me out was listening to Gary V talk about how when he started doing videos, even before YouTube, he had put out 500 videos about wine library before it took off, right? So his like 510th video got recognized by some news station, and overnight everybody took that and went and looked at his channel, and he already had 500 videos on there, and everything exploded right there from him. So I try to look at it as like I'm paying my dues. I gotta get all this out there, because if I go viral and I only have, you know, one landing page and 4 videos and haven't started my social media, and I go viral, there's nowhere for people to go. There's nowhere for people to look and say like, hey, that guy knows what he's doing. So I try to just grind on a daily basis and say like, I'm paying my dues. I'm getting all the content out there. Even Mr. Beast says, if you're doing a YouTube channel, he says you should do 100 videos before you actually take a step back and start analyzing things, because you know, through those 100, you're going to learn how to have better audio. You're going to learn better intros. You're going to look at the analytics and stuff. And by the time you get to the 100, then you can say, do we need a shift or not shift? But so all of these successful people online are doing these hundreds and 500s of you know, videos and content and blog posts and everything before anything happens. So I'm just constantly saying like, I'm just in that stage. I'm building my story. Like, I've failed multiple businesses before. I've, you know, worked at companies that I didn't enjoy working for. Like, I'm paying my dues so that I actually have a story worth writing about later on in life.
And real quick, what's the biggest thing you've learned thus far? If you're going to save somebody some scar tissue about posting and everything like that, uh, and it's unavoidable
Yeah.
to save scar tissue for everybody. But if you're going to drop a nugget and say, hey, buy this camera, buy this, or use this filter, what's one good nugget you could drop for the world to say this will save you just a little bit?
Don't spend money on stuff like cameras, because they don't help you go viral, for one. Two is, you know, one of the reasons I started my podcast is so that I could get good at speaking on camera. And to prepare for starting my podcast, I did a bunch of TikTok videos where I went through and I posted 5 videos per day for 100 days, just to get good at speaking without saying like or pausing or whatever. And so I would just say like, do things often to get good at it. Get your 100 videos out of the way, get your 100 posts out of the way. Learn as you go, because your video presence, your storytelling ability is going to get better from 1 to 100. Your 100th one is going to be that much better. If you go and look at my podcast and look at like my background setup on day 1 versus what it is now, like, it's completely changed, right? And look at how I talk to people and the questions I asked in the beginning compared to what I ask now. You know, I think I'm on episode 75 or something like that. And I'm nowhere near an expert, and I'm still learning, and I still listen to other podcasts and see how they ask questions, and you know, they're able to pull amazing answers out of these guests. But it's not something you learn overnight. So I guess back to like the one nugget is just freaking do it over and over and over. And every time you do it, just learn one little thing, like the 1% better rule. Like, just focus on one episode of not saying and then on the next episode, make your background a little bit better. On the next episode, focus on asking better questions. And it doesn't matter if people watch it. It doesn't matter if people don't watch it. It's about you practicing. And it kind of takes the pressure off, knowing that most people who start a podcast stop after episode 3, right? And what takes the pressure off is that nobody's going to listen to you until episode 100 anyway. So it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to go viral. Just practice and get it out there, because I promise your mom's going to like it.
So good. So good, so true, you know, and to use a weightlifting analogy, I mean, it's reps and sets every time, reps and sets. And one day in the gym doesn't mean anything at all. Eli, that was great.
One way that I practiced that when I first started my business, doing international staffing, I hadn't been in sales for years. And so I literally said, what is the way that I can have the most human, like the most conversations with people possible, that I actually don't care if I burn it? And I was sitting there and I was like, oh, there's a convention in Phoenix tomorrow, the small business convention, something or other thing. And I was like, cool, there's a bunch of attendees. I'm going to go down there and I'm literally going to talk to as many people as humanly possible and try and like get all of the crappy pitches out of my system. And I did. I went and speed networked 2-minute sessions for 4 hours straight. And and I'll tell you, I had a lot better pitches by the end of that 4 hour chunk of time than I did at the start of it. But my goal wasn't to sell people. It was literally to get all the kinks out of my system before I wanted to like pitch the people I really wanted to pitch. And so like that was how I put that into place, was like, I'm just gonna go and interact with as many people as possible and get all the crap out of my system. And it works.
Smart. Yep. Skylar, did you have thoughts? You were on camera a minute ago. I just want to make sure we're not missing you.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to get on camera so that people could
Okay.
see me.
So
Apologies
that's
for
when they
earlier.
see
I
your
thought I
bigger
was on.
beard.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted
We're
to
beard
compare your
buddies,
beard.
you know.
That just makes me happy, Skylar, when I see your beard.
No, I do love everything that I've been able to hear though. It's been fantastic because it's true. You know, I'm finding it as I have a couple different businesses that I'm trying to run, and it's just, you know, launching different things and throwing stuff out there. I created an app for one, you know, and I've never done that before, but I'm just like, we'll throw it out there. We need it, so let's make it happen. And yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's things that I need to do better, and just getting it out there is more important than, you know, than trying to make it perfect. So I do love that. I resonate with it very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting, Eli. So Clint and I post on social media every single day, our stories, and then several reels a week and things like that. And it's always interesting to see which ones actually take off, like which stories actually take off, or which reels actually take off. And sometimes it's the ones that we have like think is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with when you're starting a new small business, or you're starting a new idea or things like that. Sometimes, maybe Dylan's like, well, I like working with my hands and I like to do a lot of stuff around the house. No one's going to want to see that though. And that's probably not true. There's a whole bunch of people, and maybe building the banister is actually going to be insanely valuable and create a business out of thin air that you didn't even know existed. And so I think it's really interesting to think through, what can actually come, what can you actually build, and what type of unique abilities do you have personally that you're not seeing. You don't know they're there yet until you actually put yourself out there and actually start moving.
Yeah, every business pivots like 4 to 5 times before they actually turn into the business that makes the money and makes them happy. Like just thinking through the last 2 years for me, I thought, starting this online training platform was it for me. Like I was going to just do that forever. And then it turned into, well, coaching actually made more money. So let's do that. But then nobody wanted to do coaching long term. And so it turned into the agency, and turns out that's where most of the money is. And so, and where the need is. And so I pivoted 3 times or 2 times in 2 years. And I'm sure I'm not done either. I may get some client one time that's completely flips a switch, and I'm like, you know what, I should focus on that more than I've been focusing on all this other stuff. But you should expect to pivot in your business until you find what actually resonates with the most people.
Absolutely.
Just a side comment, just because this is a hot topic right now, is and maybe everyone's already been tuning in, but the Tony Robbins Thrive 2025 series he's been doing the last 3 days. Today's the last day of it. It's a couple hours a day on YouTube. He's been streaming his conference, so I would look that up for anyone that's kind of still wanting to get motivated.
It's a great conference too.
One thought that's helped me, and that as I've done this, has turned my content that I have produced like into the most massively successful posts, has been where I'm focused on documenting just like what I'm doing. Like I'm not having to go and like creatively come up with extra crap. I'm literally like, one of my posts that blew up, I was sitting on a plane, I wrapped up a conversation, I snapped a picture of sitting in my seat with a laptop, like of my screen, and I just posted like a thought that I had because I had just hired a new team member and I was pumped on it. And I was just like, hey, yeah, there's nothing like this. Like it's super cool. And that post just like, and then other posts that I've like thought about and tried to craft and go have the perfect like image and the perfect hook and whatever, they just fall flat. Like, and so I've loved this idea of just document, just as I'm doing stuff, just take time to take an extra half a second to turn on my camera and like snap a photo and jot down my thought, like a thought that I have. And those just seem to be the ones that really actually do really well. And they're the easiest to do. So it's not like I'm having to add a whole bunch of stuff to my routine. I just capture what I am doing and then talk about it.
Smart. Cool. Anything else, Cory or Clint?
Where can we find you online? I know you did that. You gave us a few slides at the end where they can jump on and, you know, register for the course and schedule some time with you and things like that. Where else can we find you online? What's the podcast URL? Is there anything else that you can give us so people can find you really easily?
Sure. Yeah. So the agency is fireusmarketing.com. And the podcast is linked up there. It's the Digital Revolution podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on all of the audio places on Apple, on Spotify, on all that. So if you want to watch the podcast, I'm on LinkedIn. I think it's at The Real Eli Adams is most of my social media handles. And yeah, and I'll send this the slide deck to Cory, and you can send it out. That has all the other links in it if people want to schedule time with me or download the ebook or go to the free training or whatever. But yeah, happy to connect with anybody anytime.
Perfect. Eli, this was amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. I learned a ton here. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm sure other people are as well. And so I absolutely sincerely appreciate the time and energy you gave here. Clint, anything you wanted to say before we?
Not feeling the fire, man. That was great. I'm taking notes on this. You just inspired me to take some massive action on some things that I've been putting off. And I can't thank you enough. Thanks for the work that you do, and thanks for really gearing it towards men, fathers, and husbands. There's so many layers to this onion, but you'll never get to really figure them out until you just start doing. So thank you, Eli.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Eli. It's good to see you again. Let's catch up. I'll hit you up on LinkedIn.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time.
See you guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.